Good morning, and welcome to Family Engagement in the Special Education Process. We are really excited to have Rory Duffield here with us today. Rory Duffield is a 19-year veteran of Fairfax County Public Schools who serves as a senior special education specialist in the Due Process and Eligibility Office. Rory's career began in the classroom, where he spent 8 years as a high school special education math and science teacher before serving 5 years as a special education department chair and then joining the Due Process and Eligibility Office. His work now encompasses both special education compliance and parental support. Rory's job detail includes assisting school teams in maintaining compliance with all federal and state regulations governing students with disabilities, and he educates parents on special education law and outlines their dispute resolution options when disagreements arise regarding special education decisions for their child. We are very pleased to have Mr. Duffield join us today to share his experience and knowledge of parents' voice in the special education process. And now we'll turn it up to you, Mr. Duffield.
Yeah, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Parent Participation in Special Education Process webinar. Again, my name is Rory Duffield. I'm a senior specialist in the Office of Due Process and Eligibility, which is a subdivision of the Office of Special Education Procedural Support. Let's take a look at some outcomes for our webinar here today. First, following this presentation, you as participants will have an understanding of your role in special education processes. Specifically, parents play a vital role in all special education processes because they know their child better than anyone else and can provide additional information that school teams may not be aware of. Second, participants will know where the parent's input and voice is documented in various forms and in each different process. Parents often feel that or believe that their opinion, requests, concerns, or words are not heard during many special education meetings, but in fact, there are multiple locations where these can be documented. Let's take a look at the different types of special education meetings. First one is prior to a student being identified as a student with a disability, they must go through something that is called a local screening committee meeting, or an LSC. This type of meeting brings together typically a parent, the school principal or their designee, a general education or the classroom teacher, a special education teacher, and a school psychologist. Additional roles may be present as members of the school team, depending on what there may be additional people present at that meeting depending on what the areas of concern are. The purpose of a local screening committee meeting is for the parents and the school team to discuss the areas of concern and review data to decide on how the school team will respond to the areas of concern. Parents are encouraged to always participate, but they are not necessarily required to attend this meeting. The next one is a special education eligibility meeting, which is a formal meeting that takes place as part of a special education process to determine if a student qualifies for special education services and an individualized education program, or an IEP. This meeting occurs after a comprehensive evaluation has been completed or after current evaluations and data has been reviewed. Parent information is incorporated into the school team's decision. Therefore, parent participation is encouraged, but again, they are not required to be present. Next, a reevaluation meeting is a required periodic meeting of the IEP team to review a student's continued eligibility for special education services. Again, parents are encouraged to participate in this process to provide input, but their attendance is not required. Next, an individualized education program, or IEP, is a meeting, a formal meeting of team of individuals who come together to develop, review, and revise a student's education plan that's designed to address the identified deficit areas. Parents are considered to be valuable members of this team as well and are encouraged to participate, but again, not required to be present. I also wanted to point out that parents may also request a local screening committee meeting as well as a reevaluation or an IEP meeting at any time. School team members may also initiate any of those types of meetings. And the last one listed here is a manifestation determination review. A manifestation determination review meeting is a formal meeting that is required by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, when a student with a disability faces a disciplinary action that could result in a change of placement. In this meeting, the team reviews the incident and data regarding the student's special education eligibility and IEP to determine the incident resulting in disciplinary action if it was a manifestation of the student's disability or a failure of the school team to properly implement the IEP. Parent participation, again, is encouraged to provide input, but again, their attendance is not required. Hopefully you're recognizing the trend here with all these types of meetings. Let's talk a little bit about the participation. Both federal and state regulations both indicate that parents should be afforded the opportunity to participate in any special education meetings. Further, the meeting should also be scheduled at a mutually agreed upon time and place. Parents are required to be informed in writing of the meeting date, time, and location. And of course, alternative participation such as virtual or phone conference are also allowed or permissible. On the screen here is a direct quote from the regulations. Basically, what this is stating is that in any special education decision, the law requires that the team utilize a variety of sources for making the decision or proposal. And that includes parent input, of course. So a parent's role is to provide crucial insight into their child's strengths, needs, interests, and learning style in order to help develop a comprehensive and effective decision or proposal by the school team. Parents should advocate for their child in these meetings in order to obtain the supports and services they require based upon their child's disabilities. Providing your input allows the school team to put forward a proposal that considers all related factors. It's also important to note that parent input does not mean executive decision or veto rights. So rather, parents' rights fall into the ability to provide consent or no consent to a proposal made by the school team. And parents also have the right to appeal a special education decision through other dispute resolution avenues, which is a whole nother topic. In terms of preparing for a meeting, it is in your best interest to come prepared for any of these special education meetings. Specifically, my office highly recommends that the documents that you review the documents that are sent in advance of the meeting, as they contain usually a plethora of useful information and resources. There are three specific documents that I always recommend you as parents would pay extra attention to. Specifically, that would be the Virginia Procedural Safeguards, which explains the regulations and policies for students with disabilities. Also, the Parent Guardian Input Form, which we'll review in just a moment, is a valuable tool for you as a parent to write your thoughts, concerns, and requests before the meeting to make sure that you remember what you would like to discuss when you actually get to the meeting. This form is also can be added to the student's official record if you provide it to the school team. The third document I think that is very important is the anything that is sent ahead of time as a drafted document This will not only make you aware of what is going to be discussed, but it will also help save time if you read it and review it ahead of time rather than having to do that during the meeting. So let's take a little bit closer look at the parent guardian input form. So up on the screen is a picture of the part of that form. And specifically where the red arrow is pointing, this is a place where you as a parent can document your concerns and thoughts. So completing the section will prompt the school team to review and discuss anything that you write and issue a response. On the second page of that form, there's also a box in the first red arrow. This box is for you to share your child's strengths and interests to highlight what they like and what they do well. This information is actually quite important for the school teams to know because sometimes interests and strengths can be used by teachers and service providers to help your child be more successful in certain areas by using their strengths and interests. The second arrow points to the box where you can add any additional relevant information that may impact or pertains to your child's educational time. The reason why this is also important is that sometimes schools may not be aware of life events or measures that are occurring outside of school hours that are impacting your child's educational performance. So, for example, it could be private tutoring that's going on, therapy sessions, medications that your child is currently on, or significant changes in family life. What's on the screen now is a different form. This is the multi-purpose referral form. This is usually used to trigger a local screening or an LSC meeting. Parents are often asked to fill out this form, specifically the statement of concern, but anyone can fill these out. And this is another place where you as a parent or the referring source can indicate the areas of concern that need to be addressed by the school team. Oops. So let's talk about how your voice and input are used during special education meetings. So as I've repeatedly said, parents are always encouraged and welcome to share their thoughts during these meetings. That could be verbally or in writing. This information helps the school team to create an appropriate plan that's tailored to your child's needs. While you can make specific requests during these meetings, remember that there is no legal requirement for the school to implement them. That's important to know. The school team is required to discuss and consider any and all of your requests, issue a response to it, and explain the reasoning behind your decision. Your requests and concerns should also be documented somewhere within the paperwork of the special education meeting or within a document called prior written notice. School teams are then also required to provide you a copy of all the documents that were created and reviewed during that meeting. After the meeting, always take some time to look over the documents that you were given. Specifically, I encourage you to look at the parts where your insights and contributions were documented to make sure that they are accurately reflected on what you said or what you asked for or what you requested. And if you find anything that seems incorrect, is factually wrong or is misleading, you do have the right to request an amendment of that record. In order to do that, you would simply submit a written request to the school principal. In your request, you would state what you believe is inaccurate and explain why it should be changed. The principal will then provide a response to the request. I also want you to be aware that parents also have the right to put additional documents in your child's special education record that you believe is important or relevant to your child's education. These are some resources that are available to you as parents that are both on the Internet World Wide Web, but also on the Fairfax County Public School webpage, specifically the Virginia Department of Education Office of Special Education Programs. A link to that where you can find all sorts of information there. As I mentioned earlier, the procedural safeguards, a link to that document so that you can review that is there listed. The regulations governing special education programs for children with disabilities in Virginia. So that is the state regulations document, one that I use very frequently. And then also the Fairfax County Public Schools Special Education Handbook, which was recently updated and is an excellent resource to parents. It gives lots of explanations and definitions, has glossary, so there's all sorts of information in that. So that's a great tool for parents to utilize here in the county. So that kind of basically concludes my presentation in terms of the parent voice within special education processes. This presentation was created based upon the fact that parents often feel like their voice is not heard, and we just want to educate everyone to make sure that they are aware of where the information, where their voice is documented within the documents and how their voice can be heard or documented through any of these special education processes. So at this point, we'll open it up to questions.